Today, we're going to break down one of the early 2000s most popular black cinema love stories, Love and Basketball. The film tells the story of Monica, Sanaya Lathan, and Quincy, Omar Epps, two childhood friends who both aspired to be professional basketball players.
Over the years, Monica and Quincy began to fall for each other, but their separate paths to basketball stardom threatened to pull them apart. When Love and Basketball was released back in 2000, it became a fan favorite. But taking a closer look 24 years later makes us ask the question whether the love depicted in this film is a healthy love. We'll answer this question and more.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
A lot of you requested that we cover this film, and I can't wait for us to talk about it. But first, we want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/Axiom Amnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber.
They start off with a whole basketball, scene. And there's a bunch of boys on the court, and they're kind of talking about, basketball and wanting to be like Kareem or what they're not.
Just wait till I get big like Kareem.
Talking about Kareem, all he does is stand by the basket.
You want to be like Kareem? Man, all this big butt do is stand by the basket.
But see, none of that matters because when you're that age, you don't even know what size you're going to be. So you don't know what position you're going to be playing for the most part.
Yes. And I love how this movie started with the young Quincy and his basketball friends, because it's just in a few seconds gives us a whole understanding of who he was.
Yes, and we see this Clippers jersey, number 22, McCall, and we haven't heard of this or seen this player before. So we're assuming it's a character in the movie. But as we know, it's his daddy.
Yes. And so young Quincy and his basketball friends, they see the moving truck coming and they're like, who's moving in?
But you said only girls are moving in. That's what my mom said.
And the next thing we know, we see, a little kid come over and has a cap on.
Hey, look, cute.
And basically wants to play basketball with them. And they're like, and she takes her cap off and it's young Monica. And she is like a tomboy.
Oh, man, he is a girl.
And they're like, what? It's a girl? So they're not even that age where they really like girls like that. They don't even want to play with a girl, but they are talking real greasy and chauvinistic for some little boys.
Girl. Hey, girls can't play no ball. Ball better than you.
They go ahead and let her play. And then she's talking her mess. They're talking their mess. And Candy Girl by New Edition starts playing. Candy Girl for the early 80s, like as a throwback, this is a song that people who are the age that they would have been around this time, would remember, because now it's 2000. These people are grown at this point, but this takes you instantly back to your childhood, kind of in the same way as in The Wood when they have the flashback scenes and they're playing the music because the music takes you back to that time. So anyway, they play this game and she is like whooping their butt and Quincy is getting salty. By the way, the guys are calling her a dog. They're like, ugh, what a dog likes.
What a dog. She heard you. Nuh-uh.
So she's not a cute girl. She's a little tomboy. And but Quincy's mad because they're getting beat. And she's telling him, hey, I'm going to be the first girl in the NBA. He like, I'm going to be in the NBA. You going to be my cheerleader,
I'm going to be the first girl in the NBA. No, I'm going to be in the NBA. You going to be my cheerleader.
And so finally, as he's trying so desperately to win, he shoves her and then she falls to the ground and she, basically cuts her face.
Yeah, so she's a better basketball player than all of them.
Mm-hmm. So one thing that I think this film really lays out is how tough it is for women athletes, girl athletes, as compared to, the boys and men, right? Because everybody expects a boy and man to be an athlete, but it's always just been harder for women in every area, but especially something as competitive like athletics because
physical.
Because then they talk about it, and we see this now, right, with girls basketball, women's basketball on the college level, right, because they're really becoming very high profile with people like Angel Reese and stuff like that at LSU. So she cut her face after she fell, and her mother is helping her.
What did she cut her face on?
I don't know.
To have a lifelong scar like that, dang, somebody done put a broken bottle in the glass near the basketball court.
But the neighborhood was nice, and they ain't got broken bottles in their lawn like that. So I really, really have no idea.
Man, he tore her up.
He did.
And this is Kyla Pratt.
Yes.
Who we know has been around for a long time.
Hey, how you feeling, Munchkin?
Monica's mother is helping her clean up this really nasty wound that she has. And we get a picture of Monica's entire family. So the mother's helping her clean up. Her older sister is there watching this mess. And then the father walks in.
Yeah, you tough.
And the mother is just like, she needs to stop running around looking like a little boy and, just criticizing Monica because she's a tomboy.
She needs to stop running around like a little boy.
Oh, she's all right.
How is she all right looking the way she does?
And as we will see as the movie progresses, the mother is a girly girl and the sister is a girly girl, very traditional women and girls. And Monica is different. And, but the father says, don't worry about her or whatever. Then we see Quincy and his family dynamic.
Girl, who you trying to fool?
Daddy. Boy.
So,
and Quincy is making like a handmade card or a note or something.
Talking about I'm sorry.
Right? Yeah. If it was a boy, would he be doing this, or was he forced to write this card or letter?
I don't think he was forced. I think that, he was taught early on how to
treat a woman.
Yeah, interact with
his
girls.
Daddy was a player.
His daddy was a show enough player. And shortly we do get to see who plays his daddy, Dennis Haysbert, right? Same guy from Waiting to Exhale, who the mama was like, Savannah, that's a good man. That is a good man, Savannah. And he was a cheater. Kenneth, yes, Kenneth. He was a cheater in Waiting to Exhale. And we'll just say that suddenly when the family gets together, ready to spend time together here, he's like, oh, I got a meeting.
Just you and Quincy, baby. I got a meeting.
With who?
Some business folks.
And we know we got to put meeting in air quotes because does he really have a meeting? And, his wife, played by Debbie Morgan, who we know from a lot of things, especially like Eve's Bayou and other stuff that we've covered on this channel. She is his, beautiful wife who is also complaining.
See, you just got back from a 4-game road trip.
But the father makes a statement that she has, made a dessert or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's how your mama snagged me. She had me thinking I got me a woman who could cook, right?
This is how your mom's caught me. With the old fake and bake.
So,
and they call it fake and bake. Bro.
Had me thinking I was catching a sister who could burn.
So she's complaining about the fact that he has a meeting and, is not going to be spending time with the family. And he tells her, don't what? Don't start.
No, please don't start bitching.
I was just like, all right, so their dynamic is very different. You have this, I don't know, almost over testosterone type of character that Dennis Haysbert is playing as Quincy's father. And then you have a father, Monica's father, who is like, it's okay that you're a tomboy.
You don't think they were similar? Because when it comes to things like this, the men typically be wanting boys, right? So then you got a girl who's doing those so-called or those traditionally boy-like things, and he's kind of pushing her to do it, right? Or more accepting of it.
Yeah, but I think that when you're a girl dad and you're like an only girl dad and you don't have any sons, I agree. But what it does in the process of your pursuit of kind of turning your most likely, daughter candidate into the tomboy, into the one who can be competitive and do all the stuff you're interested in, the way you view women is going to evolve, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's your daughter.
Yeah, because now women can do this.
And
yeah.
I feel like that's what we see in her father, in Monica's father, right? One who is just not a complete chauvinist pig.
Yeah, but I don't think that makes you more sensitive in a way, right? These are loaded words we're using, so it's kind of hard to talk about.
So I mean, but that was just maybe how I saw it. Plus, I just think that
Yeah, but I see them kind of the same, right? So Dennis Haysbert's character, or Mr. McCall, or whoever, right? He is basically behind his son, who's an athlete, basically on this man's path, right? And Monica's dad is the same way, right? He's like, okay, I'm a dad. My daughter is on this path, and you treat them exactly the same, right? Even though one may be more evolved when it comes to the chauvinism or misogyny.
And
or
I just
whatever.
think that certain things are going to lend itself to that. I mean, Quincy's father is a ball player. He's got the women throwing the panties at him everywhere. And Monica's dad is like a successful but yet regular guy. And I think he works at a bank or something. So, but he's successful, but he's just not high profile in the same way as Quincy's dad.
And then Quincy is writing this letter or whatever, and he slams the pencil down, and he's like, shit, I can't do this.
Can't do this shit.
And his father is like, what?
What I tell you about saying that word?
I tell you about using that word.
And he's like, can't should never, ever be in a man's vocabulary.
Can't should never be in a man's vocabulary.
If you say can't, you ain't a man.
And why not?
Because when you say can't, you ain't a man.
That's right.
Yeah. This is weird, but people always do this where they have these rote responses that they try to program into their kids. And I don't know if I agree with, these rote responses that it's done a lot. Like when you join cult-like organizations and stuff, they come with their little quotes. And if you in the military, they have you repeating these same phrases over and over, but it's supposed to instill something in you. And I don't know if it necessarily does.
I mean, I think maybe it can work on low level stuff, right? And you see a similar sort of thing, right? When people look in the mirror and they say affirmations and things. But, for me personally, that just was never my deal.
I think the words start to lose meaning when you do it like that.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. So for me, I just think it's kind of a waste. But you got to figure that with children, though, it's got to be kind of like this right balance of quote programming, because that's really what it is, right? When you're teaching them your way, you're programming them to be like you. When they learn your culture, your language, your how to behave according to your standards, that's all programming, right? But you got to have the right balance of programming and independent thought, right? So you don't want somebody who's just gonna do, because in the world you're raised to do things the way it's always been done. But then, you hear those old sayings like, oh, if everybody jumped off a bridge or a cliff, would you follow your friends and do that? Well, yes, because I've only been programmed to do that. But you're supposed to say, no, I won't. But while at the same
that's the
time.
reason I done what I done, because I was following my friends.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you're supposed to be somehow thinking independently, yet giving the standard answers to everything that your parents ask you. Like, it's complicated.
Yeah,
it's complicated.
complicated.
It's well-meaning, but it's complicated, right?
Yeah. So we see what type of man Mr. McCall is, Quincy's father. And then we see that he is training his son up in his own way.
Yep. So in the next scene, we see the mothers. The mothers will find out kind of how they're different and compare and contrast.
How long have y'all been here?
Well, we moved back here when Quince was about 5 after Zeke was traded again.
Quincy's mother has brought a cake along with his I'm sorry card over to the house where Monica and her mother are.
And it's clearly there's a class difference going on here. We talk about class, and it's not just how much money you make or how much money you have.
Mm-hmm.
Before the black people down the street became the black people next door. Okay.
One of the things that Quincy's mother says, and we know that this is a bold-faced lie, she's like, oh, I love to cook, when she hears and when they talk about Monica's mother, having aspirations of maybe someday being a caterer, but, she's a stay-at-home mom right now, raising her girls.
Once Nathan gets settled in, though, and the girls are little, that's certainly something Mom would like to try.
So she's this traditional housewife. And that's when Quincy's mother lies and says, I love to cook.
And I love to cook.
You do?
Like, girl, you can't cook. We just saw in the last scene you can't
she
cook.
might like cooking.
Bruh, she don't even like cooking.
The Quincy rolls his eyes basically like, bruh, you lying.
Then they're looking, and they were talking also about race, right? About the block and how the area had changed over time. So basically, when the black people were moving in, you have what's called white flight in a lot of these neighborhoods. And so That's
Yeah.
apparently what happened there. And then
Yeah, but I think the McCalls look at it as like, look, it's black people moving in, and if you're not from that class, it's something significant. But to the other family, it's just like, yeah, what do you mean?
yeah, well, and because they always probably lived in a neighborhood, because her Monica's father was in banking, so they probably always lived someplace that was a nice upper middle class neighborhood, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
so it wasn't like, oh, the blacks are moving in. It's like we've always seen who the blacks were in the neighborhood.
Right, and we've always probably lived in a
Yeah.
multicultural neighborhood too, I would imagine.
Hmm.
So unless they were in Atlanta, then but they weren't. So we've got this whole dynamic that's happening, and then the kids start talking to each other and getting to know each other, one on one. And the first thing that Quincy wants to know is like, how come you could play basketball? Because I never knew a girl who could
Bruh,
play.
this is so crazy.
So how come you can play basketball?
I just can.
I never knew a girl that can play.
And then he goes all into how his father plays for the Clippers.
My dad plays for the Clippers.
So then he says, but my father wants me to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I'm going to, be in the NBA.
He says I'm going to be a doctor or a lawyer, but I'm going to play for them too.
So this speaks, I think, volumes to the idea that your children, if they look up to you, are just going to want to emulate you.
But why did his daddy want him to be something else?
Because I think his father saw maybe the temporary nature of being an athlete,
Yeah,
or
he
the
did
problems
talk
that it
about
brings
having
about.
maybe 2 more years left, but
Mhm.
who knows? But I think that's odd that the daddy really doesn't want his kid to follow in his footsteps.
But we see that a lot, right? When we see people who were like child stars and then they have a kid, and they're always like, well, I really don't want that for you. Or people who are in any kind of entertainment. Sometimes people in sports, but then the flip side of that is sometimes people in sports want their kids to be just like them, like maybe Deion Sanders or LeBron James, right? Their kids, or is at least one of their kids, followed in their footsteps, right? So I don't know, but I also question how much time that Zeke actually spends with Quincy, because he's like, I could fight, and my father taught me how to fight like Ali.
My dad taught me how to fight like Ali.
And maybe some of it is, how kids, they tell those wishful lies, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is what I wish that my father taught me how to fight like Ali. My father was the
Yeah.
one who taught me how to play,
Whenever
whatever.
his daddy got time, he's just drilling stuff into his head and stuff, though, too.
Mm.
But there's an interesting conversation about magic. Like, he think his daddy could take magic. Bro, just come on now.
When you're a kid.
Well, I'm going to be number 32 like magic.
He's all right. My dad can take him.
And then, but check it out. She knows the stats, though. This is where she's exceptional, and he recognizes this up front.
Magic scored 48 points. They only had 6-minute quarters, and he sat out the whole fourth quarter.
Because he's like, I never knew a girl that could play. I never knew you know stats, too. Like, wait, you weird.
You do act different.
I don't care.
And she's like, yeah, I'm weird. And, my mama says I'm weird, too, because basically she's not like them.
But my mama says she doesn't know where I come from because I act different.
And
How old are they supposed to be?
I feel like they're supposed to be about 10, 11.
Why do I feel like I didn't talk like this when I was that age? Am I just, maybe because it was me at the time.
Maybe.
But I probably.
Did you talk at all like that, interacting with a bunch of people?
What do
For
you
those of
mean?
you who don't know, Heit is a more quiet person when it's
Yeah, but it's just weird to be like, yeah, and my mama say, and my daddy say, and I'ma do this. That just seems very immature.
Well, I think sometimes what they depict in children too is like so you're maybe supposed to be 9 or 10, but then they're saying things that a 6-year-old would say mixed in with things that somebody who may be a little older might say.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like this hodgepodge, because you're trying to get into, in terms of that character development, give you all of that in the one scene at this one age.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah,
So,
but it is a good way to let us know, kind of to quickly tell us what they're about, what their aspirations are, and how their parents guide them or inspire them.
yeah. And one thing I was going to say, as far as what we're learning about Monica, remember when she was in the bathroom, and then finally when everybody's out of her face and she looks at the scar, like she's kind of feeling like, I got my battle scar, like that she kind of likes that scar. You know what I mean? Likes the injury, right? Because I think she associates that with like, I'm tough. I took, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
So
she get the reinsurance from her father.
Yeah, you tough.
So then, as they're talking, Quincy tells Monica, well, let me know if anybody messes with you. I run this street. Okay, bro.
If anybody messes with you, just let me know, because I run this street.
Maybe he does, but it's just kind of funny. Again, pointing to he's kind of been trained that he should be, quote, taking care of girls, women, whatever. This is the way that a guy acts versus the way that a girl should act.
That boy next door is going to ride to school with you tomorrow. So you'll know somebody.
So in this scene, it's the night before school, and we see Monica getting her hair done, kind of in the old-fashioned way. All of us who got our hair done, you might be sitting on the floor, while somebody's sitting on the bed, your mama, your sister, whoever, doing your hair. And so the mama comes in because the mother, is a real, true domestic goddess, if you will. Like, she has it all under control. She's taking care of her husband. She's taking care of making sure the kids are taking care of the house is done and all of that. And so she comes in and she's, ripping and running, and she's clearly tired too, because she's like, oh, I've just been all over the place.
You okay?
I need to lay down. I've been running around all day.
But she still has time to tell Monica, oh, don't sit on your knees. They'll turn black.
And don't sit on your knees, sweetie. You're going to turn them black.
And that just reminds me of like all of these things that, women concern themselves with that have to do with beauty, right? You don't want your knees to get dark and, and stuff like that as compared to, the rest of your skin. Because, from that.
But Monica is a munch.
Why?
So I'm not using Ice Spice's definition. I'm using the context clues definition. But because the mama comes in and like, oh yeah, the boy next door is riding to school with you, right? Basically, so that you'll know somebody. And then she had to tell her sister to make her hair nice, because she still like this guy and she trying to impress him.
Make it look nice, okay?
Yeah, so for everything else, because the mother is like, I found some of your dresses hidden it away in a box in the garage.
Someone had put your box of dresses underneath a pile of rags in the garage.
So Monica is a stereotypical tomboy. She doesn't want to wear dresses, and all of that. But now she's like, I like this little boy. Let me get my hair combed right.
Yeah.
But another dynamic that we see is the mother and father in this whole conversation about his shirt. So he comes in and he's like, oh, which shirt should I wear tomorrow, wife? And she points out one. And then he said, you sure?
Which one of these for tomorrow?
Blue stripe.
You sure?
And she said, yeah. And then he turns to her and he's like, well, can you iron them both?
You want to iron them both tonight? Just in case.
Sure.
Thanks, sweetie.
So basically at the end of the day, he can still decide which one he wants.
Yeah.
So I give you this this idea that you have choice, or that I'm considering your opinion, but then I'm still going to decide. So, and on top of that, you get double the work because I can't decide. Go to the comments, y'all, and let me know what you think.
So you mentioned that she was like a tomboy. Is that still like politically correct, or is it an okay term? Because we had a whole gender revolution and stuff since this thing came out, and throughout the time that this movie had happened. So I don't know.
That's a really
when
good
it comes
point.
to talking about like gender roles and not just the roles, just I don't even know how to talk about it, y'all. I'm sorry.
That's really a good point. And I will admit that I never even thought about it until you said, as far as the use of the word tomboy. When I was growing up, that's what they called girls who didn't conform to traditional gender roles, did things that traditional girls didn't
like,
do.
is that still a thing?
Yeah, like, can we say tomboy, or is there another more politically correct way to put it?
And if a girl, see, that's tough too. But if a girl dressed like that today, would she be called a tomboy or not? Or
no, I don't think so. So you look at the ages of the parents. The age of the parents is that they probably are like baby boomers, right? Then we have Monica and Quincy, who are like Generation Xers. And so baby boomers they could wear pants. The girls wore pants, but they really were wearing skirts and dresses a lot more.
Yeah, but I'm not just considering just the dress, right? But the dress of the time, she was a tomboy, and is there like something of today where you're, quote, dressed like a boy?
I see.
You know what
you're
I'm saying? Yeah.
Good question. Hard for me to say, because I feel like I feel like I view girls as just as much a girl, whether, they got their ponytail. Because and depending on your age, even something as simple as whether your hair is done a certain way is not fully under your control. Your parent is the one who typically would do your hair. Now, in this case, her hair looked like it looked because she didn't care, and she didn't even really want to sit there probably and get her hair done before she saw Quincy and was trying to maybe impress him like that. But that's a good question. For those of you with younger daughters these days, maybe a daughter who's a teen or younger, do you perceive the girls as more or less girly based on, based on what? What would you base it upon? Or is this even a consideration now that it's 2024? I'd like to know that in the comments.
So when all this is going on, Quincy is in his home and he's just hearing nasty sounds. And it just makes me wonder how small is their house. Or how loud are his parents.
I know. And then he rolls over and then he looks and realizes that he could see right into Monica's bedroom.
So then
From
it
his
becomes
bedroom.
a peeping Tom.
He is a peeping. Can you say peeping Tom today?
Yes, because you shouldn't be doing that.
He was looking at her window, and then next thing we know, we hear, Sweet Thing,
Bruh.
Come On. And that's a song most of us can recognize. So clearly he's feeling her too. It's not just a one-sided thing.
So when they get ready to go to school, the craziest thing happens. Monica is smashing a basketball in the Schwinn frame. That's just so crazy. But then they meet up and Quincy just basically first thing he say, "You want to be my girl?"
You want to be my girl?
I know. She comes out with the yellow dress and her basketball, and he's just like, "Yeah, want to be my girl." But she was smart. She's like, "What do I have to do?"
What do I have to do?
Okay. And so he's like, "Oh, we could play together and we go to school together, whatever."
I guess we can play ball and ride to school together.
And then he's like, "And when you get mad, I got to buy you flowers." And she's
When you get mad at me, I got to give you flowers.
like,
That's
"But I
what
don't
his
like
daddy's
flowers."
teaching him.
Yes.
But I don't like flowers.
Oh.
Cause she gonna be mad. That's what the father's teaching him. Because if you run like me, son, then she gonna spend a lot of time mad. So
The man don't get mad, just the woman.
only her, because you doing that nonsense the daddy was doing. So she says, "But I don't like flowers." And so she thinks, well, maybe Twinkies.
How about Twinkies? My mom won't ever buy them.
Okay.
You can give me Twinkies. And he's like, "All right."
Yeah.
He's like, "So we ought to kiss now."
That boy is nasty.
He was moving
Maybe
fast.
I think we got to kiss now.
For how long?
5 seconds?
He plotted this whole thing. He's like, "I'm gonna give me a
He
kiss,
plotted it last night when he was laying in the bed watching her through that window.
bruh." And then she's like, "No, not right here."
Not out here.
Over there then.
And then he's like, "Okay, over there." And they start looking around like they're about to make a drug deal or something. Like old boy at the end of Menace to Society.
Looking around.
And then they just go and kiss, and
Ready?
he counts it on his fingers because they got to kiss for a few seconds.
Yeah, 5 seconds. It's like a little puppy dog love kiss. And, one of the reasons that I really like that we're talking about this movie is because when I first saw this movie, I loved the movie. I was one of the people who was an instant fan, and it's a movie that I've seen a bajillion times. And I felt like I liked the love story. Obviously I was, young woman when this came out, and that was how I perceived it. But as time went on and I lived a little bit more, and then I saw the movie more, and then I realized the things that were problematic, it kind of makes me want to go then and now on the movie. How did I first, I just thought it was cute at first. I didn't really think much about all of the gender role stuff that they're talking about here, except just the obvious fact that she's a girl trying to play basketball, and gee, that must be hard. But less about the dynamic of the mothers, less about that. But one thing we do see here is he is trying to control everything. Let's kiss now. It'll be 5 seconds. It'll be, like, bro, you're doing too much, even as a kid. So then they kiss. And it's not it's a cute little innocent kiss, but it still has been like you went from be my girlfriend to a kiss in like 30 seconds.
And then Sweet Thing comes back in.
So he's feeling it.
Wait, because you my girl now. You got to ride on my bike.
They instantly get into a fight because he is controlling.
Yep.
But I want to ride my own bike.
My dad always drives my mom.
So
that means I have to ride you.
It ain't even been an hour. Ain't even been 10
It
minutes
ain't even
yet.
been 10 minutes. He's like, you got to ride on my bike now that we girlfriend, boyfriend, because my dad drives my mom. And she like, I don't want to ride on the bike. I want to ride my own bike.
And it's just like, I don't have to do what you say.
I don't have to do what you say.
Forget you then, stupid.
Your dad and your daddy play for the worst team in the NBA.
You stupid, and your dad plays for the worst team in the NBA.
That's what got him, though. He could have probably dealt with anything. When you say your daddy played for the worst team in the NBA, he was mad. He was big mad. He called her an ugly dog and everything. I don't want to be your boyfriend no more.
Shut up. I don't want to be your boyfriend anymore, you ugly dog.
And they just started fighting.
Bruh, that's crazy.
And rolling all around. She got on this light yellow dress. Y'all know about grass stains and stuff. And so here she...
But being a kid and thinking that a nurse is the path to becoming a doctor.
That's hilarious. Yes.
Last time they won, Dr. J was a nurse.
We once knew a person who suggested that was how their parent had become a doctor, that they were a nurse and then they graduated to being a doctor.
They were fully grown, but...
Yes. Anyway, so this is kind of funny because they were both trying to, well, I feel like Monica was willing to go along to a certain extent, but he just took it too far, like so fast. And she was like, boy, bye. And that was that.
So if you made it this far into this nice, great breakdown, type fake and bake in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around.
And be sure to check out the video that's on the screen right now.